So yeah, we're gonna shift from Xbox and Microsoft though. Let's talk about Sony and Naughty Dog because Naughty Dog, they are officially moving on from Uncharted. We got this information from a Neil Druckmann interview with BuzzFeed, where he basically gave this information out. They were talking with him about the Last of Us TV show and all like that. Uh,
Yeah.
and he talked about Uncharted as kind of like a point to make in regards to The Last of Us. So he said here, quote, beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3. And real quick, beyond that, he was talking previously about The Last of Us multiplayer game, basically saying what we already know about it. Uh, Beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not. All I could say is at Naughty Dog, we're very, very privileged that our publisher is Sony, which means Sony funds our games, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done, we're moving on, end quote. I'm fine with Naughty Dog moving on from Uncharted. I honestly wouldn't be mad if Uncharted kind
And we
of
all just
died
accepted that.
entirely. Yeah, I thought we accepted it too, but it's nice that they are like finally themselves putting that saying, yeah, we put the pin on it, we're done. What like are you fine with them moving on from Uncharted? And I guess a better question, really, or another question you could look at this from is, would you be fine with Uncharted continuing on without Naughty Dog? Because I can go either way on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's legacy enough that we're just like, oh my God, how blasphemous. I mean, will it be as good? Probably not, but it is what it is. If Sony's like, we got to make money, we want to make an Uncharted game, I get it. Um, yeah, like I'm not bothered. I'm not really swayed one way or the other by this. I like Uncharted. I've never the odd ones are the ones I haven't played. So I haven't played one or three, although those seem to be the ones that are like, eh.
Three is another
Love
great
two and
game.
four. Um, and in general, like I thought we had all just kind of moved on from them not doing one. I think a lot of people hung on to that, like they're gonna do the kid thing, where spoilers for Uncharted 4, they have a kid and Nathan, and then I apologize, I forget the
Elena.
yeah. And I think a lot of people saw her, and she's like a teenager at the time. And so we're like, okay, she'll get a little bit older in the next game and we'll play as her. Still could happen, could even be Naughty Dog, but I think they want it to be long enough to where it feels maybe like a surprise and to where like they have some kind of spark of inspiration for how they'd want to tell that. And it's clear that they don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people will probably think that they're, so head up their ass, self-important that, oh, of course we're not going to do Uncharted, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think if they want to make a lighter game, like they said, Sony will pretty much back anything they do. And it's just not what they want to do right now. So
Yeah, I mean, in past interviews, I think, they said that, like they follow what they're passionate about. And I mean, the reason we got Last of Us was because they were trying to think of something for like how to continue Jack and Daxter, and what the ideas they were having, they were like, this doesn't fit that at all. Like this isn't that, and then they ended up, we got The Last of Us out of it instead. And I mean, there's also the rumors that PlayStation Malaysia or some other PlayStation studio is making a new Uncharted game. There was rumors that it was Ben Studio was going to be doing something Uncharted, but then they asked it to be taken off of that. So I mean, because Uncharted is such a big moneymaker, I imagine Sony would want to continue it in some way, shape, or form. Uh, it is the question though of like, man, if it's not Naughty Dog, who would I want it to be, and would I want it to even happen? Because I'm sure it would still be a good game, or at least I would hope it'd still be a good game, but it would just have all that baggage and expectation and comparison of Naughty Dog like killed it with the Uncharted games, and just in terms of the story and characters and the writing. You can argue about the gameplay all you want. I enjoy the gameplay for the Uncharted games.
yeah, same.
Um, so like it would be that comparison of like, all right, is whoever else is making it, are they living up to the standards that Naughty Dog set with the characters and the writing and the story? Like, are they living up to that or not? And I don't know if you'd want to be the studio that has to follow that up in any way, shape, or form. I think like Naughty Dog, like you said, they ended four in a way where it could continue, or we put a nice bow on it right here, and it doesn't have to continue. Or you can continue with new characters. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
be
mean, Sony
mad.
does sideline characters for long periods of time, if not forever.
Looking at Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper, I would love for them to come back somehow, some way.
But at the end of the day, like I do kind of appreciate that we can at least speculate and know that like maybe it never comes back. I like that personally. I
Yeah,
don't want everything to become an endless stream of sequels and whatever. And like I do enjoy certain sequels. I like Sony will continue to make sequels. Like I don't think that's a surprise, but like I like that we don't know which ones will get the green light, which ones developers will be passionate about, want to bring back, etc. And that I like that they have some parts of their catalog that'll just never be explored again. That's pretty cool to me. Um, I assume Uncharted because it makes money will be like God of War, where it'll just be like someone will have an idea or really want it, and they'll just let them go for it. But I do think we'll probably. I mean, it's been kind of a cool down between the I forget the name of the spinoff.
Lost
Um,
Legacy.
Lost Legacy, yeah, which came out not too long after four, like
I
a
think it was like a
year
year
and a
or
half,
so
maybe something
later.
like that.
It's like 20. It's been since 2017. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's either 16 or 17, something like that. So I mean, it's already been 6 years, but I think probably at least another four before we see another Uncharted. So like maybe they're thinking about it now, and it comes out 4 years, 5 years from now, so it's like a decade or so, or maybe it's not. Maybe we get some kind of like more remasters of remasters as the 10-year anniversary, or not even 10-year anniversary, or whatever. I'm sure if they do something, they might schedule it around that. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm not like it's weird for me sometimes. I'm like, why are people worrying? I guess it's because of the Last of Us show, but I'm like, why are people worrying about Last of Us or not Last of Us, but Uncharted right now?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Last of Us, he continued on talking more about the future of The Last of Us actually in the interview. And he said, so literally continuing on from his last statement, he says, quote, likewise with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Our process is the same thing we did when we did part two, which is if we could come up with a compelling story that has this universal message's statement about love, just like the first and second game did, then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with part two, and that will be the end, end quote. Which I think brings up the question: do we want a third one? Because
I've been on
I
record as no.
see that's the thing. Similar for me, similar with the ending of part one, I can go either way on it.
I'm
And
more.
I think if the story is good, if you have a good story, I'm all for it. But if not, leave it as is because things ended just fine. Except I think two ends and leaves itself lending itself more towards a sequel happening than one did. Um, but I would still be fine if two ended the way it did, and that's all we got. So I don't necessarily need a third one. I wouldn't be I don't know if I say I want a third one either. I want a third one more than I did the first one, but again, I don't really need or want it. Like I'm fine with how things left off. Um, but I think more outside of just like the Last of Us story side of things, I'm not too eager about a third one because I would love to see Naughty Dog do something else, given how long game development takes these days. I would love to see
Yeah,
them do something else, and I don't want it to be. I mean, I know they have multiple teams and multiple projects in development. They're
yeah,
working on the Last of Us multiplayer thing. There's something else going on over there, but
yeah. I don't
like,
want it to be like all Last of Us though, because
right?
personally not going to play factions. Like, just probably
I'll,
not going to do it.
I'll give it a try. See how it failed and everything. But like, I would love to see them do something new, and I don't want it to be what until 2020 2020 what 2027 before we see something new from them. Like I would love to see something new from them sooner than that. So that's where I fall on it. You could do a third one if you want at some point, but I hope the next thing is something new and not more The Last of Us.
Yeah,
That's where I fall.
same. But well, I mean, I actively do not want a three. I'm sure it'll happen and I'll be irritated about it and it'll be good. Because that's just how the cycle works. But I think one wrapped up too much in a bow, which is why I was okay with the sequel. I'm always okay with like breaking the status quo, but I like ambitious endings and well, not ambitious, but even like I like cliffhanger endings that aren't, but you don't know, and where they just leave it. Like I like trust your audience to just use their imagination. Is usually how I am, and I just feel like overall the messages of two can be muddied even more with a potential third one. But at the end of the day, it'll probably happen, and it'll probably still be good.
Yeah, and I mean, I know even recently Neil Druckmann said like I think he said that what like they have an idea for a story or like he has
Yeah,
ideas for like where a third one could go if it was to happen. Um, so I mean, and like you said, I imagine it's gonna happen. I
yeah,
imagine it's in the works in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'm kind of similar to you, at least with this game specifically, where it's like I like how it ended. Like I don't need to get more from it right now in terms of the themes or just continuing the character stories. I don't need more of it. But if you have a good story idea and in all, I'm down to hear it. I'm down to see where things go. But I'm fine with things being left as is. I don't need a conclusion or addition to what we have right now. So I think what we have left things just fine. And for tone, story, messaging, all that stuff.